Hey there, Scott Wilkinson here at CEDIA Expo 2013. I'm in the Pro Audio Technology booth with Paul Hales, the primary speaker designer here. And Paul, we've got some interesting announcements at the show, including this new massive subwoofer we're looking at.
It is a gigantic subwoofer, Scott, yes. This is our biggest subwoofer, obviously, 24-inch transducer. The transducer itself weighs 88 pounds.
Holy smokes.
And the whole completed unit weighs 270 pounds. So it is quite the beast. It bests our former largest subwoofer, which was a 21-inch. But believe it or not, in this market, there is a demand. This is kind of in response to our dealers requesting something bigger for larger systems and for the guys that really want the very best and biggest, highest output systems they can find.
Right, and one of your claims to fame is the high output of this sub and the sensitivity of the driver.
That's right. This subwoofer is 99 dB with 1 watt sensitivity. Now that's not that high for mid-range or compression driver,
right.
But for a low-frequency driver to have that kind of sensitivity with just a single unit, that's extremely high, extraordinarily high. Yeah. And that's part of the reason why they have a super effortless quality. They can move a ton of air, but sound like they're barely even trying. So, and that's largely in part due to the high sensitivity.
Right. Now, I believe you claim that the low-end extension is down to 22 hertz or so?
Well, a minus 3 dB
At
point,
minus 3 dB.
Which is not, it doesn't fall like a brick after that.
Sure, of course.
But, yeah, so, you know, infrasonic response wasn't a design objective. What was the ability to move a lot of air, low distortion, no doubling, and in the physical world, unfortunately, there's certain realities that we have to live by, and there's kind of a trade-off between sensitivity, size of the system, and bandwidth. And so we've opted to have the sensitivity because on every single track you play, you benefit, you leverage that high sensitivity. There's not that many tracks, you know, out there that have 16 hertz or 10 hertz or something,
right, compared
to the total catalog of all music and movies out there.
Now we do know, we've been talking offline, that in AVS there's a community of bass heads, we call them sometimes,
yeah,
who really like to go down low into the infrasonics, and there's even a list of movies that have that content. But even if it's a long list, when you look at all the movies out there, and then you look at music,
right,
going down to 22 hertz, in my opinion, is perfectly fine.
Right, and I agree with that. I mean, again, infrasonic response was not a design objective. So if somebody's in the market for a subwoofer and they really want that sub 20 hertz bass, then they need to buy a different kind of design. That's not what this is.
Not what you decided to do.
Yeah.
I understand.
And something that the bass head should check this out. In the pro world, the drivers are designed to withstand a beating day in and day out without failure. They're designed to be high sensitivity so they can play extremely loudly, and as a result, the subwoofer drivers available, they don't make anything that has a super low fundamental resonance. If you look at the catalogs, for example, you'll find most of the fundamental resonance of the drivers themselves are maybe 25 at the very low end, and most of them are up around 30, 32 hertz. So you just can't make this kind of driver go that low. And if you did make it so compliant as to have an 18 hertz fundamental resonance, the reliability would go in the toilet because there wouldn't be enough for storing force to pound it day in, day out on a concert tour or in a commercial cinema or whatever.
Right, right.
So it's kind of apples and oranges.
Yeah, and it's a trade-off. You
right.
decide what your design objectives are, as you said.
Right, and our customers aren't typically bass heads. They're not interested. They don't know about the spec. They wouldn't worry about the spec, and they, wouldn't care about sub 20 hertz bass, basically.
Got it. Now, the other big announcement you have at the show is a new amplifier.
That's right. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. This has probably generated the most excitement around what we do. We've always had DSP in our amplifiers, which is kind of unique. We have a software tool that is quite unique, kind of a high-level, easy-to-use tool to do both the loudspeaker programming as well as some additional EQ if required.
To compensate for room effects and so on?
Room effects, subwoofer setup.
And transparent audio, acoustically transparent screens as well.
That's right. Yeah, you can compensate for the screen with just by selecting it from a list based on manufacturer of the screen, make and model.
Yeah.
It's that simple. So in the past, we've had our PMA amplifiers, which are 4 channels in a 2U chassis. We're introducing the DMA, digital multi-channel amplifier, here at the show. 8 channels, 1U, 8 pounds, and and a total of up to 1,500 watts of power.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's quite, and all the DSP tools of the PMA, product.
Yeah.
So full feature set, and the amp comes stock with two times 300 watts plus 6 times 100 watts, and the 100 watt pairs are bridgeable. So you could bridge each of the 3 pairs to get a total of 5 times 300 watts, which is the 1,500 watt configuration.
Got it.
And it's all done in software. If you want to bridge them together, you press a button. Inside the amp.
You don't have to do a jumper or anything like that?
Nothing like that. You get visual feedback. There's a LED that comes on the back that lets you know you're bridged. There's a display on the front that lets you know you're bridged. The software that lets you know you're bridged.
Right.
And so you can run a whole 5.2 media room-like system, like a family room or a multi-purpose room system, with a single 1U chassis.
Incredible. And what's the price point on that?
Price point would be, it's still not locked in, but roughly $5,000 retail.
Okay. And availability?
By the end of the year.
Yeah. List on this guy.
It's $9,500, not including the amplifier.
And I was going to say, this is not a internally powered.
Right. All
sub.
of the power is external and mounted in the racks. You know, these get built in, and sometimes access to the speaker is no longer available once it's in place. And so we put all the electronics in a separate rack where it's easy to maintain and adjust. And so.
Fantastic. Now, in your demo room, you have 2 of these things.
Right.
In a 7.1, you have
right.
Both subs are playing the same signal.
Right.
And we heard some demos yesterday, and I have to say the sound is extremely clean.
Thank you.
Very clean, very low distortion. You played Thriller, Michael Jackson's Thriller, at 110 dB, which was too loud for me.
Right.
But you were demonstrating. I've had my fingers out of my ears long enough to hear that it was still very clean.
Right. And that's kind of our claim to fame. I mean, we can do polite 2-channel music quite well, as you heard with the Michael Bublé.
Michael Bublé track was not overbearing and sounded gorgeous.
Yeah, thank you. We're kind of, musicality meets the dynamics of movie soundtracks and rock concerts, for example. And that's kind of our claim to fame, and that's why we ended with that piece, is it demonstrates that we can play it at 110 dB and it doesn't hurt. You don't want to turn it down. I mean, yes. So for some more sensitive people, that's too loud.
Right.
But we do it to show that you can do a movie at that level without distortion. So
yeah. Well, it's a magnificent achievement, and I congratulate you, and thanks so much for being with us.
Great. Thanks, Scott.